Hi.
That sums it up.
Well, at least I had a good dinner earlier.
We went and saw the dinner, which is about horrible, awful human beings.
Yeah, what was this about, honestly?
It was about...
You want to help me out with this?
Hey, before we start, I want to read you the description that I found on the internet.
Is it going to be as good as the description I gave you?
As two couples dine at an upscale restaurant, their polite discourse disguises the fact that they are struggling with weighty family issues.
There was no polite discourse in this movie.
And by weighty family issues, they mean torture and murder. Man,
when I texted you about this the other day, I'm like, you want to go see this movie, The Dinner, on Friday? It's with Richard Gere, and it's about a dinner, ... and murder.
Technically accurate.
Yeah.
But not remotely descriptive.
God damn. When I was at Irving's birthday dinner earlier, and we're recording this on Cinco de Mayo, so Irving usually has dinner over at Xochimilco, which is a local Mexican restaurant. It was crowded. So we were waiting there for about like 45 minutes or so. It almost got to the point to where I thought I was gonna have to like text you and be like, I don't know if I could be able to make it. Which
Sorry, Sarah, you don't get to see the dinner.
Which kind of would have been worth it, because I was so looking forward to texting, I'm running behind at dinner, I may have to postpone the dinner. Man, no, it worked out, because we ended up going to the Irish sandwich place next door that was dead on Cinco de Mayo, but I was so in the mood for Mexican at that point that I got a taco salad. I have more interesting things to say about that than I do this fucking movie.
Was the taco salad pretty good?
Yeah, it was really good. It was better than the last taco salad I had, which was at Steak and Shake.
It certainly didn't burn any homeless people to death.
God damn it. This, you know what? If you want, like, a better version of this, watch that segment from Wild Tales that was about
the one about the horrible people trying to figure out if they should save their son from jail.
You know what watching this movie reminded me of, other than that? Because I kind of thought about that going into this movie, but watching it, you know what this really reminded me of? Not really so much in plot, or even filmmaking, just, well, kind of, but like, just how unappealing and disjointed and rotten it is. This really reminded me of The Loft. Yeah,
I can see that.
You know, it did. Like,
in that it was like, slowly unfolding a twisted, convoluted plot, but at every juncture you didn't really give a shit where they were going.
Not only do you not give a shit, you know what's gonna happen. You know what these kids did the second they come on screen. And it's... The only a difference between this and The Loft is... I don't know, you know, at least The Loft probably knew it was really sleazy and trashy. This movie has way better acting than The Loft. Like, this has got Richard Gere and Steve Coogan. Laura Linney is in this. And it's like they're trying to trick you into a 5-star dinner, but they're serving you a plate of shit. Like, that's really what this movie is. And yeah, at one point the movie's about that. About what do we do about our kids who murdered somebody. But then at other points, it's about mental illness. And then at another point, it's about Gettysburg.
Gettysburg, and it's about Obamacare, and it's about the weird... It's about the legacy of abuse, I guess, sort of. But mostly it's about, like, what would you do if, you know, you needed to protect your family because your children murdered someone?
This movie is
like, it's supposed to be like this deep, subtle, introspective, like, no, fucking turn him into the police. You raised a monster, too bad. Yeah, exactly. No, you're totally right. Like, boy, do I not give a shit about anybody in this goddamn movie. But the movie is only kind of sometimes about that. Like, this movie is actually barely about the dinner. Like,
maybe 5 minutes of this movie is them sitting there at the dinner table. The rest of it is either flashback, which is 80% of this movie, or doing anything at this restaurant but sitting at the table. Sometimes they're, I don't know, in the hall. Sometimes they're out on the deck or out front or something. In that weird sitting room that apparently the restaurant has. Yeah. I will say that food looked delicious. No, it did. Yeah, it looked... Yeah. I'm sure they were trying for some cute little juxtaposition thing, but I was just so angry that I was watching this movie. Yeah, I was too, because it was like kind of like ooh, ice cream. Even if this movie is trying to do that weird juxtaposition, again, it's 5% of this movie that's called The Dinner. Like, this movie, like, at the beginning of it, it's like, okay, I see where it's going in the sense that their kids are obviously little serial killers. That's obvious right off the bat. And as soon as they go to an ATM that's got a homeless person in it, like, all right, yeah, I know where this is going. They're gonna end up killing a homeless woman. But this is a 2-hour movie, and about an hour of the middle of this movie suddenly is about Steve Coogan's mental illness. And again, a Gettysburg flashback in the middle of the fucking movie. 'Cause padding? I don't know. They were likening... 'Cause he's got this mental illness. Yeah. They don't really go into it, but it seems to be sort of a paranoid schizophrenia thing. And like he's got this whole thing about how if there weren't war, then there'd be more people. And since there's more people, it would destroy the planet faster, so wars are technically a good thing. But then also he's got this like obsession with specifically the Civil War, and so he uses that as sort of a metaphor for other stuff. And it seems like Gettysburg, they were saying, was a turning point for the war, and also the bloodiest battle, I guess, in the Civil War. Every time the Civil War narrator popped up was my problem. It was just like the fucking grown-ups and Peanuts, because I didn't give a shit so hard about what he was saying. It was like blah, 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 and just like statues of dead soldiers wafting by. Even if they're going for symbolism here, which is, yeah, that's why it's there. Even if it's bullshit. Like, what is a house divided, blah, blah, have to do with you and your congressman brother. You and your shitty son. And your shitty fucking kids. Because there's a point where, like, him and his wife are having, like, this deep, tearful moment, and he's like, you lied to me, this is our Gettysburg, and she's like, this is not our Gettysburg, and I'm like, I should have been paying more attention during the Gettysburg part. No, you shouldn't have. There was nothing in that. There was nothing in the fucking Gettys. God damn, this movie's fucking unappealing garbage. So the lessons I took for this movie are, children are monsters, and white women are monsters. This movie's trash. And Steve Coogan's hair looks amazing. Oh, it took me like an hour before I realized, oh, Steve Coogan is supposed to be mentally ill, because the way it was going, it was like everybody. I thought he was just doing a crappy American accent, but I think that he was kind of doing like that sort of like kind of flat. Oh, that some mentally ill people tend to get. But also more so like the way he's rambling on in it is. I wasn't thinking so much in my head like, oh, he's got a mental illness. I was thinking more, did some drunk guy just try writing a Woody Allen movie? Like, with all of the introspective things he's trying to say about war and life and all this. I wasn't thinking he was mentally ill until the movie told me. I was thinking, like, is this just supposed to be like a really, like, neurotic Woody Allen type character? Sorry, go ahead. But not interesting or funny. I spent a lot of the movie wondering if this was an adaptation of a really terrible play. It's a book. Is it? Because with the title being The Dinner and like the very, like the bottle episode sort of one specific spot, and every once in a while they'd wander off. It seemed like the sort of terrible play you'd go and see in like a loft space. If it didn't have like enough faith in its material to make it a bottle episode, because this really isn't a bottle movie. Like,
I'm sure you're using that term wrong, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you mean, because, like, you would think if you were to describe this movie that it would be a bottle movie, but it's not, because
people keep fucking off.
They keep fucking... 80% of this movie is flashbacks. Fucking 80% of this movie is.
And the kind of terrible flashbacks that you'd expect in one of those terrible plays, where you have no idea how far back in time we've gone.
That fucking really...
The only point of reference we have is how disheveled Steve Coogan's hair has gotten.
And also, like... I don't know why Richard Gere had to have an ex-wife in this. Like,
it's so Chloe Sevigny could be in it.
I get, but it felt, because, okay, like, he's with Rebecca Hall in The Dinner. That's his new wife, but that honestly barely has anything to do. It could have been Rebecca Hall in those flashbacks as well. Like, maybe in the book it makes much more sense that he's got an ex-wife in the flashbacks. That feels way more like... And I don't think this happened, but it feels way more like it was supposed to be Chloe Sevigny, but she dropped out of the movie, and they didn't feel like reshooting the flashback, so, hey, let's give him a new wife.
I felt like what they were doing was, like, making it so the point of the movie wasn't everyone's a monster except Richard Gere, who's awesome. Because, you know, it's definitely, he's got some weird relationships with the women in his life. Going back to his mother, but again, that's more than I care to delve into this movie, because I super don't give a shit.
And Richard Gere is the most likable in the movie, because it seems like he's trying to do...
He's the only one that wants to turn the monster children
exactly. He's the only one who's, like, kind of trying to do the good...
He gets flipped so easily.
He does, yeah. But, I mean, I just love Richard Gere, so I'm like, well, you know, this is a garbage movie, but...
twinkly son of a bitch.
He is the most interesting character in the movie, but, I mean, come on, that's largely because it's just Richard Gere playing it, you know what I mean? Like, and, yeah, I mean, he, in terms of how the character is written, yeah, he is the most... relatable in the sense that he wants to turn the fucking serial killers in.
And I mean, like, it's not the kid's fault. He was raised by a mentally ill person, but, you know, people have been in that situation where they didn't decide to burn homeless people to death because they were in their way when they were trying to get to the ATM. Exactly.
And also, this conversation they're having, it doesn't matter, because the kid who's blackmailing them has already put the video on YouTube.
Yeah, he disguised the voices.
But that doesn't matter.
But that's undoable technologically speaking, isn't it?
Well, that, and you could probably find out what account that uploaded this video, this snuff film, onto YouTube.
No. YouTube is anonymous.
Oh, yeah. Like... I had that same problem in, which granted, I didn't get mad at this movie for this, but in that movie Unforgettable that Brian and I went to go see, again, that movie at least knows it's garbage. This doesn't. This is a pretentious piece of shit. Like, in Unforgettable, there's the wraparound parts have to do with Rosario Dawson being interrogated for murder.
Oh, no.
Because Katherine Heigl, like, kills a guy and is framing Rosario Dawson for it, and part of framing her for it is Katherine Heigl created a fake Facebook account that's Rosario Dawson's character, and
she's like, he murder so much fun.
Yeah, she's like seducing like Rosario Dawson's stalker, like, hey baby, I've been thinking about you lately. The stalker writes back, what? And like, so anyway, like the cop is like, this is clearly your Facebook account. It's got your picture on it. Like, what? Worst cop.
Look, technology's hard.
Yeah. And after that flashback show in the YouTube video, which, again, didn't need to be in the movie. Like, that's a plot hole that could be easily cut, and nothing would be lost.
Yeah.
Makes it to where nothing matters here. Like, I already didn't care, but now I really don't, because
They spent the entire movie fucking around with backstory. And it was backstory that didn't really need to happen. It was only there so that it would take longer to get to the fact that the boys murdered a homeless woman by setting her on fire. And so then the discussion becomes, what should we do about it? With Richard Gere wanting to turn the boys in, his wife being like, don't do that. Laura Linney being like, I agree, let's not do that. And Steve Coogan being like, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel he went off of his meds a couple months ago because he wanted to be himself again.
The only thing that would have made this movie interesting is if Steve Coogan's character was played by Cuba Gooding Jr. as his character from Radio.
This movie was kind of reminding me of Love Actually, in that Laura Linney was kind of interacting with him in the same way that she interacted with her mentally ill brother in Love Actually. But it was really just making me prefer to be watching that movie.
In terms of shitty movies we've seen about mental illness, at least, like, it's not Mom's Night Out, where it's like, you know what takes care of postpartum depression? A night out on the town.
Martinis.
Like, seriously, ladies, come on.
And bird murder.
Yeah, right. Or God's Club, where the kid's suicidal because he went off of his medication because really, look, you just needed God's Club at high school.
I'm in kind of a bad mental state right now because this movie was a stone cold bummer and basically had the thesis of people are monsters. But I just realized that in Mom's Night Out, she's like obsessed with that eagle video. Yeah. With like the little baby birds, and then in the course of her night out, a bird ended up getting murdered. So I guess that what that movie was saying is that treating yourself to a night out murders your metaphorical children.
Yes. Don't drink, ladies. You'll have to say, or you'll get a good talking to by Trace Adkins in prison.
Don't go see this movie.
No, this movie can fuck off.
If you've got children, it's gonna put the thought in your head of, oh no, what if my children grow up to be monsters, and it's my fault, and I'll have to decide what to do if they murder a homeless person. And if you don't have children, you'll probably still go to a bad mental place, because there's all sorts of horrible, monstrous things happening. What if I become homeless, and some children murder me, because I'm in the way to the ATM?
Well, I mean, you know, I guess this movie was kind of better than the movie ATM.
But if I marry a man and help him raise his children because he's emotionally distant because of his abusive mother.
If it's Richard Gere, awesome.
And fall slowly in love with his children because I'm their primary caregiver, and then one of them murders a homeless person, and he wants to turn that child in.
Watch Gettysburg. That's what this movie did. This movie gave up on itself halfway through and decided to watch the movie Gettysburg.
Fuck this movie.
I agree. This is such an unappealing piece of garbage that it doesn't realize it's trash, which makes it pretentious trash. This is bad. This movie
is like having a nightmare about eating worms. And that not only was the nightmare terrible, but then for like the next couple days, all you could think about is how gross it would be to eat worms.
Yeah. After a few days, I'm like, you know what was really gross? Watching the movie The Dinner.
So fucking gross. I'd rather eat worms.
I would rather eat worms than watch this movie. At least I can get that over with in a minute.
So anywho...
You know what? The positive thing about going to see a movie like this is we usually get trailers that we don't normally get in front of...
Yeah, they had no idea what to show us for this. My pen kind of ran out of ink, but I think I got all of them. The first one, which looks like a piece of shit, Beatrix at Dinner?
Oh, that movie looked awkward.
Selma Hayek is like a magical Mexican person.
And John Lithgow is Trump.
Yeah.
Basically. He's...
Alright, I understand what they're going for.
I do too.
My main takeaway is Reiki is bullshit. Like, you can't massage my aura and expect it to do anything. So I'm not really going to take anything that woman says seriously, even if I agree with her politically.
It looks really heavy-handed.
But only metaphorically, because her hands are so light.
And it's like John Lithgow is I think is supposed to be like Trump, but John Lithgow at his craziest still has more tact and class than Donald Trump. So
plus he's so charming.
Exactly.
How do you not root for John Lithgow? I rooted for John Lithgow when he murdered that man and left him on the beach.
In real life.
He's the only one who's allowed to be a monster.
Exactly.
God, what am I thinking of? It was like
when he killed someone on a beach?
His wife was cheating on him, and so he took the man she was cheating with and buried him on the beach.
Oh, that was Leslie Nielsen.
Was it?
That
okay, well, Leslie Nielsen is allowed to be a monster, too.
That was Naked Gun 2.
Yes, Naked Gun 2.5.
Creep Show. Creep Show 2.5.
But yeah, it's so dumb and heavy-handed. Norman?
Again, I love Richard Gere, so I do kind of want to see Norman.
At the end of that preview, I think I said I have never given less of a shit about a movie before.
Well, that was before you saw the dinner.
Then I watched The Dinner. So Norman is number 2 with a bullet.
Yeah, Norman, not that I know a lot about fixers. But it's got Richard Gere and Michael Sheen.
And it's got Matthew from Downton Abbey, who I like and stuff.
Oh, Dan Stevens?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, that movie might be kind of charming.
You have fun at that one, I'm not. It looks like I wrote down The Doors.
They're re-releasing The Doors.
The Lovelies?
Oh, The Lovers!
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked good. Where it was it's like an affair movie.
Yeah, but they're having affairs with other people, but then slowly falling back in love with each other.
So they're having an affair on the people that they're having an affair with. It's like a cheaters movie, but they're cheating on the people they're having the affair with because the husband and wife are falling back in love with each other.
And it's got Littlefinger from Game of Thrones.
And Deborah Winger. Deborah Winger's starring in this.
Yeah.
That actually looks like it might be really funny.
Yeah, in the moment I was like, oh, that looks kind of boring, but then I watched The Dinner.
But then The Dinner happened.
And this movie looks amazing.
The Beguiled.
Yeah, The Beguiled, thank you.
I'm looking forward to that, honestly.
That looks terrifying in the Misery way, where I know that it would be a good movie, but I have no
see the original.
No intention of putting myself through watching that.
Well, watch the original, and if you like that...
Is the original fucking brutal? Because I feel like
this
what
one
they weren't showing off screen is probably fucking brutal.
This one seems like it's a bit more...
Subdued?
Thriller. No. I think the original might have been... It's been a while. The original was with Clint Eastwood, and it was kind of one of his 70s flicks where he was kind of going against type. It was a different kind of Eastwood
Was he playing
movie.
The Colin Farrell
He was playing
part?
the Colin Farrell part. And yeah, it's about Eastwood seducing these women. And Dave and I got this trailer in front of that something we saw a week ago. And a minute into the trailer, I was like, are they remaking The Beguiled? They are! Right on. I kind of like The Beguiled. This one looks a little bit more thrillery.
I noticed that a running theme to these previews is they were playing super creepy music over stuff that didn't seem terribly creepy. So the music for this preview made it seem like a Last House on the Left in Civil War times.
Yeah, basically.
Is that what it is?
Kinda, but less... not really exploitation-y. It's... Think of it like a sleazy, romance novel with some torture and murder in it. That's kind of what The Beguiled is.
Does he end up with one of them in the end?
I don't want to spoil it for you, but no.
Because I feel there's a bitches you bitches part of the preview, and I feel probably he doesn't have any legs or arms anymore.
Yeah, that trailer, from what it's been a while since I've seen the original movie, but that trailer for the new one with Colin...
The trailer was terrifying.
Well, it was, but the trailer also kind of shows you everything about it that I remember from the original.
Okay, so maybe it's just as creepy as the trailer is, which means I could probably do it.
No, I think, granted, this one might be way more graphic than the original.
So I'll describe it. Describe this movie based on what the preview told me.
Yeah.
Basically, there's this house full of girl children, ranging in age from 8 until grown-ass Nicole Kidman. And it's in the Deep South during the Civil War. And they find a Union soldier injured on their property, and they decide that they're going to fix him up to some extent, but not a whole bunch, because they hate him because he's a Union soldier. Meanwhile, he seduces, not Claire Danes, what's her name? Kristen
Elle
Dunst.
Fanning? Oh, Kristen Dunst.
Yeah, and then also seduces Elle Fanning, and they decide, well, that's not kosher, and so they drug him and then tie him to a chair, and then for some reason they have to be secretive about murdering him, and so instead they cut off his arms and legs. That's
basically, like, in so many words, the entirety of the original. Like, that's pretty much the whole movie. Like, it's... I don't want to say how it ends, because I don't know. This one might have a different end. But from what I remember about the ending of the original, they kind of show in this trailer. So that trailer's like, I was like, maybe this is a little bit different than the original movie, because this trailer kind of shows everything that happened in the original movie. Again, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember liking it. Like,
I watched the original, I think.
At the least, it's, like, interesting seeing Eastwood in, like, that kind of movie, you know? Like,
Plus, I need to see what happens, because I'm picturing that they cut off his arms and legs.
Oh, and I don't remember it going full boxing Elena. But again, I could be forgetting that part, but I don't...
The Big Sick. Okay, so this I'm really excited about, because that's Kumail Nanjiani, who's a comedian. Yeah. And when he met his wife, Emily V. Gordon, she actually did go into a coma about 3 months after they started dating. I don't think they broke up before it happened. I think that's probably something they made up for the movie, but apparently they're making a movie about it.
So he's playing himself in the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
His wife isn't playing his wife for some reason, but she's like, I think she's a psychiatrist, and so maybe she just didn't want to do the acting bit.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, they even named her like Emily Gardner or something in the movie, and then Ray Romano's playing her dad. He's got a bit about when they eventually got married, which, spoiler, they're gonna end up together, where they got married like by themselves, like they eloped, but then he told his parents about it, and they're like, okay, well, let's have a Muslim wedding as well. And so they hired a guy, and the guy wouldn't marry them with her name being Emily, so they had to, like, name her Iman. Yeah. Or just for the wedding. Oh, okay. But during the service, the guy's cell phone goes off playing Beyonce Nasty Girl. And the guy didn't answer it for like 30 seconds, but then picked it up, flipped it open to see who it was, and then put it back in his pocket to keep playing until the machine picked it up. It's a pretty funny bit. Find it if you can. Although I kind of just spoiled the whole thing. But the upshot is I'm really excited because I like Kumail. Yeah, no, that looked really funny. It did. I'm looking forward to that. That comes out July sometime. Is it that cooking documentary? No, that's the third. Jeremiah Tower was the cooking documentary, which yawned.
Yeah, they put that in front of this because, like, it both had to do with food, I guess.
They Come Rachel?
Oh, the Rachel Weisz movie.
Oh, yeah.
There was another period drama.
Here Comes Rachel or something?
I think so.
My Cousin Rachel.
Here Comes Rachel.
That's another movie where they had, like, super creepy music playing what would look like a period romance. So probably she's gonna, like, murder him or cut off all his arms and legs.
And like, she's playing... It could be like the Kumail movie where she's playing herself. It turns out Rachel Weisz is insane.
She's an immortal. She's an immortal Black Widow character.
Wow, I did not know that about her.
She's a Wendigo, and she lives off of arms and legs of men.
I really should have read that Parade interview with her.
But she looked pretty. She looked exactly the same as she has been for less
The Mummy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She looks like she did in The Mummy.
That looked good. I like me a good sleazy period piece like that. Although I don't know how sleazy it would be.
It's going to be, judging from the soundtrack, it's going to be brutal.
But at the end it said rated PG-13, so maybe like...
It's going to be off-screen brutal.
It'll be off-screen brutal, just like in the old days.
Oh my god, you've taken my chainsaw and now you're using it on me.
They didn't have that back then. This movie's weird. Is that all the trailers?
That's all the trailers. And then Jeremiah Tower, which yawned.
Yeah, again, they
like
put
a cook who cooked in the 70s and now he's back!
Yeah, he's back just so they could put that trailer in front of this movie, because the movie's called The Dinner. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else in the middle of the week, but...
Just counting on the days to the Fifth Element one.
Yeah, it's like the 14th, I think.
14th and the 17th.
And since I've already seen King Arthur, because King Arthur is like the mainstream release next Thursday, but I was at an advanced screening for that piece of shit a couple weeks ago.
You can take a week off, buddy.
No, because
do some Patreon stuff. Don't you and Dave have one?
Me and Dave do, but also Snatched comes out Thursday.
Well, I liked Trainwreck.
I did really like Trainwreck.
Snatch just looks so bad from the trailers.
It does.
It looks kind of like hijinksy and like it's funny because we're women.
But again, it will probably be better than The Dinner.
Yeah, it's not. I'm 98% sure no one will burn any homeless people to death in Snatched.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that happened in Snatch. It's a movie about sex trafficking and shenanigans.
Like you don't burn the sex trafficked to death, then you can't sex traffic them.
Well, it all depends on what the customer wants.
And on that note,
see ya.